Hi, it's me, Dr. Sheila Dobee. Hope that you are all doing well. I am wearing my same scrub top because I figured out it's one less thing I have to think about. If I do these videos, I don't have to worry about the fashion aspect of it. So yeah, so this is gonna be me, my nice scrub top. Anyway, so I hope everyone is doing really well. I know it's been a couple of weeks in shelter in place or wherever you are, lockdown. So it's been it's quite interesting at this point. So I was looking at this article, and it's very interesting. It talks about the phases that people go through during this time. And one of the phases is at the beginning, it's just this panic and fear. And what happens is we then we read stuff and we are reactive, and then we get stressed out, and then we share things on the internet. We don't even read the whole article. We don't even assess where that article is coming from. Is it fake news or is it just exaggerated where it's from? And then we read it, and then we freak out, and then we just send it to whoever on WhatsApp or social media. The other thing that happens is this is the time that there was panic buying. People go off and just buy a bunch of things that you might not need that much of. For example, the famous toilet paper situation, which is still an issue right now. It is difficult because getting supplies is tough, but that's okay. We're getting through. So there are issues such as hoarding that comes out. The other thing that happens is people start getting really worried about things, and it's the fear of the unknown, because you don't know, hey, when are you going to be able to get out and about? What's the new norm going to look like? How are you going to make ends meet, because you might not be getting a paycheck? So then fear sets in. Then the second phase is now more a phase where you're, and I think a lot of people are at that phase where you kind of accepted this is the reality of what's going on. You're more careful about how you're reacting to the news. You're looking at where the information, not just randomly sharing information, but you're kind of looking at things and assessing the data, assessing the information. Unfortunately, what's happening right now is just the way that information is relayed to us. Like, you go on the news and it's just numbers, it's counts and counts of people dying in different places. Now, people have always been dying in the world of heart attacks, strokes, just natural causes, car accidents, but you've never kind of switched on the news and seen just a count in different countries, because if that was how news has always been, it would be just the most depressing thing to watch. But now, obviously, with the COVID situation, it's just counts and counts of numbers. And that's very stressful, because you're looking and it's a reality of what's happening out there. The other thing is, we as human beings, we're not used to kind of just being so close to fear. For example, when things happen, it's usually in a different country, and we're like, oh, that's in Syria, that's really far away. But reality is, a lot of people do live like that, where they, on a daily basis, have this kind of stress in their life. And in America, a lot of us have been very lucky that we've never had to live like this. We've never had to see just the fear of your own life. But what that does do is it kind of gets you to the third point, the third phase. And the third phase is growth. Just like out of crazy pressure a diamond is formed, is what can happen to a lot of human beings, where it is a time for self-reflection, a time for gratitude, a time where we can look at things that we all took for granted. I know I've mentioned this before on another video, but just the fact that we have running water, and it's clean and it's fresh. We can take a shower. We are in a safe environment. We can get food access. And I remember when this first happened, and I was actually worried. I was like, oh my gosh, what happens? Because everyone's seen these crazy movies like Contagion, right? Where you get to the point and there's no food and things are rationed. And I suddenly was like, oh my gosh, what happens if there's no food? And then that same day I'd gone to the grocery store. And when I went to the grocery store, there was all the cleaning stuff had gone, and a lot of people had panicked, bought a lot of stuff. Ironically, it was like not all the organic fresh vegetables was still there, which is the stuff I eat, which is pretty funny for me because I was like, man, no one likes eating this stuff except me. But all the chips and all the unhealthy, the highly processed food was all gone. Alcohol was like, people were hoarding that stuff because they probably thought that's the only way they can get through that. But what was happening was panic buying, and that means that the shelves look empty. And remember, when people panic buy, it could be one person buying just a lot of stuff, right? But then you now look and, like, for example, you might go to the grocery store right now and see toilet paper, and you might not need toilet paper, but you know it's a scarcity object, so you just buy extra toilet paper. And that's how the mentality of the hoarding aspect and scarcity means that we end up not having that many things out there. So yeah, I remember going to the grocery store and seeing this and having a panic and worrying about food. And I'd never worried about food because I always go to the grocery store and there is always so much food and abundance of anything that you ever want. And what it made me realize at that point was, wow, how lucky have we been that we are in a country where we don't have to worry about food. We always have accessibility to food. We are able to go to a shop, go online. I mean, even think about Amazon. You buy something and it's not only is it like, you could get something delivered that was like $1 or £1 or just a small amount, it's delivered next day. And the fact now that it takes like a week sometimes to get an Amazon delivery were things I'd taken for granted. But more on a grander scale, the food, the water, the shelter, the fact that I could go out, and even the fact that I could breathe. And I just really had an appreciation for my breath. And I thought, oh my gosh, like, there are people out there that are, on ventilators. I mean, just think about this. This one invisible thing, this virus, has managed to come from one person. Oh, I know there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there, but somewhere. And it's literally shut down most of the world right now. I mean, that is crazy. And the fact that that's happening, right? I mean, it's just, if you think about it, it's just so surreal. And one thing that virus has done is it's not looked at our race, our color, our religion. It's basically the whole of humanity against this virus. But the good thing that's happened from this is the connection that we have now. I mean, look at the phone calls that you're making, the social media aspect of it, the fact that you're online and you're kind of doing calls with people that you may not speak to that often. Families are reuniting, and it's bringing out really good things in humanity. I've noticed people are I'm part of a nonprofit called Heal Circle, and we had raised so much money within a week. We had raised $10,000, and we were able to give free meals out to people that need that. And we had so many volunteers coming in, and people, and that's just here in Pleasanton, in California, in the Bay Area where I'm from. But, around the world, there's so much greatness in the news. Now, that's amazing to me, if you think about it. Like, people are just getting together and just suddenly the warmth, the good is coming out in the world. And that's heartwarming, because we are focusing a lot on the craziness, the news, but there is some good that's coming out of this. So if we kind of learn to practice more gratitude, that's a great thing, because we can appreciate things like that, for example. The other thing is, with the virus, it's bringing together a lot of the world. I mean, think about this. At some point, something is going to have to fix this situation. And the whole world is now working on this together. Everybody should be, I'm hoping, is collaborating, which they are. But, people and companies are getting together and working on the cure, the vaccines, people are making masks and donating them to the hospitals. Like, we're all working towards this one thing, which is humanity, just to kind of survive through this. And but also it comes with difficulty, because we as human beings we're not used to being confined in a space, right? Luckily, a lot of the countries are able to actually go out and walk. So here in California, we have shelter in place, which means that we can walk outside and freely get some exercise. But there's certain parts where it's very difficult to do that. For example, New York, where you can't walk out and about because you are not able to have the social distancing, and it's dangerous for you. So what happens is it's very difficult for a lot of people to stay within a small amount of space. And not only that, but as time is passing, we might not be getting the right nutrients that we need in our body. And I'll talk about that in another one of these, I don't know, whatever this is, a YouTube episode. Quite new to this, so yeah, a YouTube episode. And we'll talk about that because, for example, vitamin D is very important. And if you're staying indoors, you're not getting enough vitamin D. And then we don't want to get to the point where we're lacking essential nutrition and vitamins, which we'll talk about at a later point. But that was something I was thinking about, was nutrition. And that will be another episode too. Nutrition, vitamins, minerals. And we'll talk about like anxiety and all that kind of stuff, because these are things that are happening right now, because human beings, as I was saying, aren't used to being confined in space, not being able to go out and visit their loved ones, and there's a lot of isolation right now. So I just wanted to share with you just a technique that helps a lot with anxiety and stress. And obviously everybody says, okay, you have to be present and just appreciate what you have at this point. And yeah, that is great in theory, but it's a difficult thing to do when you're like stressed out and when a lot of things are going on, because the fact is your adrenaline's pumping up and you are worrying. You're like, oh my gosh, what happens financially? So many businesses are out, so many people are out of work, so much is going on. And then you're like, well, what's the new norm? Like what happens X, Y, and Z? And then the brain starts going down this spiral, but we don't have answers yet. And that's a scary thought, because yeah, we don't have we don't know how this is, like how long it's going to be. We don't know, there's talk of the vaccine, how long is that going to be? And then how safe is the vaccine going to be? Because obviously you're getting something done really fast when a vaccine normally takes years to test and trial, but this vaccine is going to take, obviously they're rushing everything. And then part of you worries is like, is that going to be safe? And what are the side effects of vaccines? And that's a whole different conversation. We can have that too, maybe at some point. But, we worry about these kind of things. We worried about vaccines. We worried about just, general things. How's our lives going to be affected when we do get back out there? And imagine when we do get out there, how scary it's going to be. Because right now I kind of feel comfortable. I'm in my home. I'm kind of sheltered. I go out. I do a few little things. But, if I'm out there in the real world, how safe is that going to be? So these are questions that aren't answered yet. So obviously our brain worries because we don't have the answers. So we do have to live in the present and just be like, okay, at some point, there's someone working on all these issues because this is a global problem. So we have to trust that at some point there will be answers to these things. We'll figure this out. But at this point, obviously, when you don't have answers, you do get scared or you may get worried, and especially it's a difficult time. So number one, I did want to share with you a breathing exercise, which I'll explain in a minute. But the other thing I wanted to do, number two, is make sure you're connecting out with some friends and family and just sharing your concerns, because it does help when you just talk to someone. But do pick someone that's not someone that's going to stress you out, because we all have those friends that when we talk to just ends up stressing us out even more. So find your friend that's a happy friend, that generally can help you feel better. Find someone to kind of just share your stress or your concern with, and that person can just help you kind of talk through your fears and just be honest. Just say, hey, this is what I'm worried about. This is what I'm concerned about. And that usually helps. And also, in the reverse, just go out there and look for people that also need the help, because when you help other people, it kind of, you feel good about yourself too, because you feel like you're making a difference. And when we give back and we make a difference in the world, it's just a great feeling. So I encourage that, just giving back and making a difference. So the third thing is, with the anxiety, nutrition plays a massive role. And the problem right now is there's a lot of people eating very highly processed foods, a lot of sugar, there's alcohol. All of this has a lot of sugar in there. And highly processed food, a lot of it is really unhealthy for you. And I will do an episode on that, on just like how to eat healthy and how to get through this time, because there's a lot of funny memes out there, I've noticed, and it's all like pre-COVID and post-COVID, and pre is like you're looking all nice, and then post, everyone is kind of all like, you know, getting all big and chunky. And the key is, and one thing I had decided through this period was I was going to get healthier throughout this period, because when I'm out there in that real world where there's the invisible COVID monster is out there, I want to be as strong as possible and as healthy as possible, because I want my immune system to be able to fight anything out there. So a decision I had made, which is not a decision that's too late for you to make, is getting healthier during this period, because this is time where we do have some time. There's a lot of online videos. There's a lot of there's online videos, there's a lot of free things out there, free trainings, and even just like if you want to do yoga, there's a great videos. You just type in yoga for stress or yoga for weight loss. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube. And this is the time that you can actually dedicate to actually getting healthier. I found this great video, yoga by Adrienne, I think it is, and she does yoga for stress, and I do that once or twice a week, and I kind of learned some of the movements and the postures, and it's been great. And I also make sure I've got a lot of fruits and vegetables in my fridge, and a lot of antioxidants, making sure I'm healthier. And I haven't been eating, I had got rid of eating sugar, and I'll go through that in another video, how to get rid of sugar in your life. And that's probably one of the best things I did, by the way, because your emotional level is so much better when you're not got that crazy sugar stuff in you. And also you just end up, you know, I lost a bunch of weight, and you end up feeling a lot better. So another episode. See, I'm getting loads of good ideas to things to talk about. Getting used to talking to myself too, which is kind of interesting. But anyway, so what was I saying? So I was saying basically that it's just, these are a couple of things just to kind of help us with the anxiety thing. So I do want to share with you a quick breathing technique, and we'll go through why it's useful in another video, and I'll shoot one just on breath. I'm going to do a couple of videos on breath, because breath is important. One just to calm us down. Number two, it helps with increasing lung capacity, which is something that in COVID times is good to do, is just increasing our lung capacity so that we're just healthier. So if we do get anything, it's just we're boosted up. So let's do a breathing technique. So this breathing technique is just something you can do anytime that you feel stressed out, and it's good to just do throughout the day. And what it does is, when you're stressed out, the sympathetic system, which is your flight and flight response, is getting you ready for, like, you know, some kind of battle. Back in the day, it was around to because we were running in the caveman eras, running away from animals and tigers and stuff. And nowadays, the sympathetic drives through all the stresses that we have, like financial and work and all of those kind of things. So the key is to dampen down the sympathetic system and activate the parasympathetic system. And that's the system that kind of calms you down. And you can do that through breathing, through yoga, through a bunch of other things. And we'll talk about that too in different episodes. But let's talk about getting the parasympathetic done as quick as possible and getting you in a calm state. So a couple of things. One hand goes on the belly, and one hand, ooh, microphone, one hand goes on the chest. And then we're going to breathe in. When we breathe in, we want this hand to rise up, and we want this to kind of just be where it needs to be. So we're going to be like, so what we did was we breathe in and the stomach comes out. Then we hold, and you can hold for like a couple of seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4 even. And then we release. So watch again. Hand on stomach. We go, breathe in, stomach out, hold, and then out. Through the mouth. And if you keep doing that, and do that for, even after you do it for 4 or 5 times, if you can do it for 10, even longer, there's no side effect of doing good breathing. You just keep breathing and keep breathing. You'll notice naturally the stress level calms itself down. So that's just one technique, and there are plenty more to come. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed me having a good chit chat with myself, and I just wanted to give you some insight and maybe something to thought-provoking, and also get some practice to do some more of these videos by myself. And if this was helpful, just shoot me a comment, let me know. And let's stay safe, let's stay happy, and here's to living a vibrant life.